Hello everyone. So in this video I'm going to demonstrate a few cases of the functions in GoLang. So let me open the Excalibur and as you can see that these four topics I'm going to cover, like how to write a basic function, how to pass multiple data types to the function, how to pass variable arguments, and how to write generic functions. So let's just go ahead. So this is my repository for the GoLang, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new directory inside the project called functions, and here I'm gonna write t1 basic functions dot go, and the package will be functions. I will be importing the fmt package for printing stuff, and just write a most basic function. So we all write the hello world program inside the main function, but I want to basically abstract it out. So let's see how we can do it. So how do we write functions? We have to use the function keyword, then the function name. So because I'm writing the hello world function, it's going to be print hello world, and I'm not going to pass any argument as of now. And this function is going to just do a simple task, print line hello world. So in case you are not aware what functions are, in programming languages, functions are basically used to collect some sequences of code so that they can be reused by multiple clients or within the same project or across the projects. Okay. So I'm going to execute it from the main file just to test it. So the package name will now become functions, and print hello world, and here it will be functions. So I've imported it out. Let me clear the terminal. I'm going to build a project, and I'm going to run the main file, go run main.go, and as you can see the hello world is getting printed. Okay. Now the basic syntax has been covered. I'm going to teach you how to pass some parameters in Go. So the most basic function which you can learn in any language is how to add two numbers, right? So let me add a new function add nums. So this function is going to basically add two numbers. So numbers are going to be a and b, and the function can also return, right? So after addition of two numbers, I want the result in my code, the code which is going to use this function. So because a and b are of int data types, I'm going to write int here. Okay. And this is going to just return simple a plus b. Now it is showing error because I haven't provided what return type is going to be, so that is int. Okay. Let's test this out. The result is going to be stored in a functions dot add nums, let's say 4,5, and I'm going to print a. Let's run it, go run main.go, and it is printing 9, as you can see. Now I also wanted to show you one thing, that because a and b are of same data types, what I can do is I can remove this int, and I will just add a comma. So all of the parameters before this int, they will be treated as of the same data type. So this function is going to work as similar as before. Nine. Okay, now multiple data types I have taught you, and how to pass variable number of arguments. Okay, let's demonstrate it. Yeah, so I don't want to just take the sum of two numbers. I want to pass multiple number of numbers. Okay, so for that, every language has a construct of the variable arguments. So in Go, how you can do it? Add multiple nums. So the argument should be having the same name. Okay, let's say if I'm passing five numbers, so how I'm going to represent those five numbers in this function? So let's just name it as nums, and because it is of multiple arguments, I have to provide int, but this will be treated as a single argument, right? So to represent multiple arguments, I have to add three dots. Now this is fine, and this is still going to return int. Now because this nums is not these different numbers, right? So what this nums is, so nums is basically a slice. Okay, now I haven't discussed slice yet, but just bear with me. It will be clear in further videos. So nums is because a slice is kind of an array, a variable data structure which can store a list of elements. So here the elements are of int data type, and to find the sum of all of them, I have to iterate over each of the numbers. So I will store my sum in the sum variable. Initially the sum is going to be 0. So to iterate over a slice, I have to use uh, a for loop. Now it's basically a kind of a function. Okay, it does that the syntax is different than the regular functions which you create. Okay, so how to iterate all the numbers? I have to give two arguments, I comma j, and I'm going to use the range function. The range function basically uh, it returns you two values as a pair, I comma j, and here I is going to be the actual number and j is going to be the position of the number. Okay, now because I'm not interested in the position of the number, what I can do is I can simply ignore it. To ignore it, I have to use this, the underscore operator. Okay, if I don't do that, then I have to use j, which I don't want to do. So that's why I'm going to ignore it using this operator. Okay, and yeah, so sum plus sum will become sum plus current element, which is I, and I will just simply return it. Okay, now to demonstrate it, what I have to do is I will comment it out. Functions dot add multiple nums, and because I can pass variable number of parameters, I am going to write the first five natural numbers. Let's add 6 and just print it. Let's see what happens. Let's run it, guys. Go run main.go. 15. So is it correct? 6 into 7 divided by 2, 3. It should be 21, I think. Why this thing is not working? Let's add ChatGPT. Okay, so it represents the index, so that's why I'm missing One mistake which I made is that this should be underscore and this should be I. And let's execute it. And it is 21. And if I, let's say, add 10, then the sum should be, now the sum should be what? 9, 12, 14, 15, 25, 37. 37. Okay. Now the last thing which I'm going to talk about is the generic functions. Now, why do we need this in GoLang? Okay. So here I have declared one function called add nums, but this nums is going to take the type of integer only. So if I try to use this with float variables, okay, let's say 5.0 comma 6.0, is this going to work? Let's see. Hope it is not typecasting. It worked. What about 2490? Now this thing will not work because the typecasting will not work. Cannot use float constant as int value. Yeah. So because this function was declared having the parameters of integer type, passing float is not going to work, right? So the one like what I can do is I can rename this function as add int nums, and there I will remove this. So I just have renamed the function. Okay. So 11. And for float, I'm going to create a new function. Right. Here I didn't change. Let's say float 64-bit. Now run this. 11.83. Now if I want to pass let's say float 32, then again I have to write a different function. Float 32, make it 32 here, make it 64. Okay, but this thing will not work as float 64 in return statement. I'm typecasting it. And this will work too. Okay. Now the main problem is that so I just want to add two numbers. So when we are doing mathematics, in notebook and all, you don't do this, right? I mean, why do we have to create these many functions for the same purpose? So that's where the generic comes. So using only one function declaration, you can use that function to pass multiple kinds of data types. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create only one function. I shouldn't have removed that. Okay, let me create a new file. Okay, import fmt. So let's write function generic add, and this is going to take what, multiple arguments, and the return time was going to be something that I don't know yet. I will copy this thing. Okay, now because I want to pass variable number of arguments, this should be there. And to define generic functions, I have to denote the type using some temporary holder. Let's call it as t, and inside here I have to say what t is going to be. So t can be float 32 or float 64, or it can be int 32, or it can be int 64, or it can be double. No, double doesn't exist in GoLang, right? Okay, now invalid operation simplify mismatch types. Now the thing here is that if I do this as 0, and let's just t, it is still showing error. Why it is showing error? Float 64 and t, so sum is going to be, yeah, how can I declare this? Where sum t. I think this will work, okay, because I have defined this as a where sum t. It is going to take the default value when this function gets executed. That's my assumption. Let's see if it works or not. Generic add, okay, let's execute this, and it worked. If I remove this as 5, and if I make it as, let's say, 9, why this is not working? Okay, so I haven't added int here, so let's add int 2, execute the function, Yeah, so today's agenda is completed, guys. I have demonstrated all of these topics in functions in GoLang, but functions is a very vast concept in GoLang. I haven't covered what are the stateful functions, what are anonymous functions, how you can use interfaces in functions to basically detect the type, how because in that case the switch statements also come along, so that thing is also left to covered, that I'm going to show it in the next video. Thank you everyone.